Move. Rude. Welcome in to another international vlog. This one's at least book related. It is solely books. So in my April wrap up May TBR, I picked books that I can read on my Kindle Unlimited in the airport while I travel. So this whole vlog is just, obviously this is post because I never made any type of intro to go with this video, of course, shocker. So I'm doing it now. So this is just a reading vlog of all that I read in the airport between here to Charlotte to New York to London to Rome to Paris back to London, back to New York, back to Charlotte. It's all that I read. And it also is videos of me in bookstores, me in the airport bookstores, some in Rome, some in Paris, and a little book haul of what I got. So hopefully you enjoy. You're gonna see me transport to an airport. Have fun. So tired. See you in Paris. So I finished the Mindfuck series. That's the first book that I started, and I expected to like it but not love it, so I was gonna read like one and then read something else, but then I was so obsessed with it that I had to finish it, so I read all 5. The last one, 5 stars. I fell in love like instantly with Lana and Logan, both of them, and Lana's like giving Selena Sardothian. Logan's like kind of giving Cole, but only for a little bit. I just love them. I love when stories similar to this where it's a team working together to like, you know, kill a bunch of people, and it's just one after another, cannot be touched. They thought of everything, they've got backup plans, everything goes as planned, and they're just absolutely eating. It's similar to like Zayd and Haunting Adeline, like nothing goes wrong. Like he's amazing. I did get a little worried around book 4. I think book 4 was my least favorite, just like how it ended isn't how I wanted it to happen. But book 5, loved it. Everything. The concert, actually, Taylor Swift is going to be soon, so I'm not going to be reading today. But tomorrow's travel day, so I'm going to start new books tomorrow. I don't know which ones yet. Third outro I'm doing in this outfit, so you've seen it before, you will not see it again anytime soon. Alright, so this is to wrap up the Kindle books that I read for my Kindle vlog all during the airport. I was in the airport for basically 48 hours, and it was a lot of reading. I ended up finishing one full book that was like 5 parts. Obviously, you saw I read the Mindfuck series. I finished that. And then I also read Ruthless Vows, and I got like a third of the way through it. We'll talk about them in a second. I also just want to give you a book haul because I bought some books in Europe because 1, they have cool covers, and 2, they were cheaper here. And the new releases, they have new releases out in paperback, so I wanted them. So the first one I bought, not the first one, but the first one that I'm grabbing is Say You Swear, which I really have always wanted to read this. This has been on, it's actually in the video that it was like 24 books I want to read in 2024. I believe this was on it. And I got it because not only is it cheaper, but every single book at the airport was buy one, get one half off. So if I'm gonna buy it eventually, I might as well get it half off. And then I really wanted an Emily Henry UK cover. They had one more in this one, so I bought the other one, which I'll show in a second, and then Book Lovers, because I already have 2 copies of Happy Place. I didn't want another copy of Happy Place, especially because Happy Place wasn't like a 5-star read for me. And then I definitely didn't want People Who Meet on Vacation, which was You and Me on Vacation in Europe. I definitely didn't want that one, which I ended up seeing later on, but I never saw Beach Read, and I feel like out of them, I probably would have picked Beach Read because I do really like that book. So I got Book Lovers because I haven't read this yet, and maybe I'll love it. And if not, I'll give one of them away. I actually probably will give one of them away, and I'll talk about it at the end of this video, actually. But these were 2 that I got. This was €9, and this was €10, and they were buy one, get one half off. So I got 2 books for the price of 1 in America, and they're cool covers. So those were 2. And then at a different time, different airport, I got The Reappearance of Rachel Price in paperback, which I don't believe is in paperback yet. And then Funny Story in the UK covers in paperback. I was buying this soon in America anyway, so why not get it when it's cheaper and a cool cover? Yeah, this was €15 and this was €11, and they were buy one, get one half off. Like 2 brand new books, and they're on sale. Why not? Of course. That was my little airport book haul. I ended up not buying any at the bookstores, like the literal bookstores in Rome, just because the ones that I saw were like Fourth Wing and Iron Flame, which of course I wanted to buy them, but I was like, I don't need to. And I was running out of room in my suitcase, to be completely honest. So I held myself back from buying anything. Also, I kind of wished if there were cool UK covers for the ACOTAR series, I would have bought them. I saw the Throne of Glass ones, but I didn't really want to buy more versions of Throne of Glass. But ACOTAR would have gotten me. But they just had the normal, colorful ACOTAR books. So now to get into the books that I read. I started the Mindfuck series. You know what? This feels like kind of spoilery. So I'm going to put a time if you don't want to know any details about this book. It's hard to talk about the later books without spoiling the series or spoiling the first few. So just skip to this time if you don't want to hear me talk about like the final book. I had heard a lot about the Mindfuck series in the past, but for some reason I thought it wasn't really going to be my like type of book. The only thing I had heard about it was this woman was a serial killer and she fell in love with someone who hunts serial killers. That's what I had heard. So I was like, I don't know, like it seems cool, I guess, but like the covers seemed cringy, so it seemed like something I wouldn't enjoy. I was completely wrong. I started the first one and I just devoured it. I wrote notes on my thoughts, so let me look them up so I don't leave anything out. Okay, so for the first one, it was called The Risk, and I gave it a 4.25. Obviously, it was just introducing the idea of she was this serial killer. It starts out with her being in, like, a coffee shop, and this guy comes up to her, like, this arrogant guy comes up and, like, tries to get her number, and she blows him off and is like, literally fuck off. And she sees him go back to this table with another guy who's, like, laughing at him for getting turned down. The other guy that's laughing at his friend pays for her bill, and she ends up going up to him and is like, you don't need to do that, like, and gives him money and is like, I don't let people, like, pay for me. And so there's just, like, instant chemistry, and he, like, somehow flirts his way into giving her his card, and she ends up calling him, like, a couple days later, and they just, like, hit it off. Their banter is adorable because he is, like, this sweetie cutie pie, but, like, very secure, but also in a way where he gets kind of jealous sometimes, but I don't know how to explain it. They're just so cute, and I was really rooting for them because she was someone who had this tragic backstory. Like, when you think tragic, think 100 times worse of whatever it is you think happened. She's super closed off. You can watch her, like, open back up with him, and it's so cute. Oh my god. But of course, he's an FBI agent. He doesn't know what she is. She is a literal serial killer, but like the good kind, if there can be a good kind. Like, she only kills rapists basically, and the first one was just so good. I loved it. It was just setting up like this whole story for them. I honestly don't remember how they end. And then I read the second one called Sidetracked, and I gave this one a 4 out of 5 just because I feel like this one, actually, I accidentally started the third one and read like 60 pages, and these are short. They're only like 100 to 150 pages, and I got 60 pages in before I realized that it was the third one. And so the whole time I would read something and I'd be like, what does that mean? Like, I feel like I'm missing something. I was missing a whole second book. So I had to stop where I was and go into the second one. So I read Sidetracked. His controlling side came out a little bit more. Like, he turned from this adorable, perfect human to like a little controlling. And I didn't like that as much. But then they like get in this big fight. And when he comes and he's like, I'm not leaving this room until we're okay again. You could just tell he was so in love with her, and you can see her like trying to want to pull away, but she can't because she's so in love with him too, and she's just scared because of like him finding out about her being a literal serial killer that his FBI unit is tracking down. Like, they're trying to find her, and she's right here in love with him, and he's like the head of the unit. But the only reason it went down was because he kind of annoyed me like just a smidge. I was like, why are you being so controlling? Please calm down. And then the third one I went back to, Scarlet Angel. I also gave a 4 out of 5. Oh, because I didn't like the end as much. Another serial killer comes into play, is like hunting Logan basically, or taunting Logan. And so in his head, he's worried about Lana, but Lana is like wanting to kill the guy. So it's like this obviously miscommunication because she can't tell him why. Like, the whole beginning is really, really good, like edge of my seat, having so much fun. And then the end didn't feel as like cliffhangy as the first two. The first two had really good cliffhangers. The fourth one, All the Lies, apparently I gave another 4. In this book, he finds out who she is, and it was not how I wanted it to go. Like, at all. I had in my head how I wanted it to go, and it was just not how I wanted him to find out. He thinks he's figured it out, but he doesn't know the whole story, and so he kind of treats her like shit, thinking she's someone else, and it was just so upsetting to watch. And I hated it. But I knew, for as much as people love this series, that she wasn't going to end it badly. So I was really excited for the next one, which I gave. It was painted all red. I gave a full 5 out of 5. I was obsessed with how she ended it. We were touring the Vatican, and all I was thinking about was how badly I wanted to go back and read this book. So feels kind of sacrilegious, but that's all I wanted to do was go back and read this book about her murdering people. I was reading this on the plane, and they had their like reunion, because after he had found out, or thought he found out who she was, he handcuffed her to the bed. But of course she got out, because she's a badass bitch. She got out and like ran away and was like, fuck him. So then he gets the full story and finds out that he mega fucked up and should not have done what he did. And he finds her and gets her in like the best way possible that she could have written. Him finding her, it was perfect. And them talking it out, I was crying on the plane, and there were people next to me, and I was like, I could have read an entire full 400-page book of this, because between her plan of going and like blowing up this town that she hates so much and like getting her revenge on every single person, him having to find her afterwards thinking she's dead for months, and then getting the clue that she left to him that she was alive. Oh my god, it was so good. I wanted more. I still want more in the best way possible. Not that it didn't leave me fulfilled, because it did. I want more just because I love them. And I love how it ended. And the whole Jacob Hadley side story, his name's not Jacob, it's just Jake. I mean, it's probably Jacob, but the whole Jake Hadley side story, obsessed. She ended up marrying them, and they're in a threesomes. Obsessed. Like, I just love the little extra story on them. If you haven't read the Mindfuck series, it's absolutely worth it to go read them. Oh, I said overall for the series 4.75, just because there were a couple of times where like the plans worked out a little too well, or like the things that she and Jake would do seemed not realistic. So that was the only thing that like really got to me. I was like, okay, they're running through this town painting walls red all the time, or like painting these messages, and no one sees them. When they know there's a serial killer in this town, they don't like have watches set up. So it was just like little things like that I thought were like slightly unrealistic, other than the fact like the whole plot being unrealistic. But I'm not one to like be too critical on stuff like that if I'm really enjoying the story. So like overall, like a 4.75 series. And then also mega need to look up trigger warnings. There were times when they were telling the backstory of her, and I was just sobbing because of how sad and upsetting and like gut-wrenching that the backstory is between her and her brother and the dad. Just like super trigger warning. Beware before you read into this, to the point where it made my stomach hurt and I was crying. So, and then I started obviously Ruthless Vows. I finished the Mindfuck series on the way there, and then I finished Ruthless Vows, or I didn't finish it. I started Ruthless Vows on the way back. But my first day in an airport back had to spend it like refreshing my brain on Divine Rivals, because it's been so long since I read that. And I remember reading it the first time and not being as obsessed as I thought it was going to be. I remember my complaints from the first one was that like I wanted more romance and I wanted more of a slow burn type of idea. But then when I went back to re-skim it, I re-skimmed the whole thing and only read the parts with her and Kit and like the letters and everything, and I liked it more because I was only reading the romance. So like I didn't have to read all the like kind of boring war parts. So then I went into this with like very excited, ready to read their romance, and I'm so far obsessed with it, like more than the first one, because I feel like it's more on just their romance instead of the war. I'm on page 140, and you can also skip this if you don't want to know the basic plot of these books. So I'll give you a time to skip to. The first book ended with Kit being left in the field, like while Dacker... Is it Daker or Dacker? I say it different every single time. I'm not kidding. I've never said it the same way. Dacker was like bombing these places, and he got left behind because her brother... What the fuck are these people's names? Oh, Iris. Iris's brother found her and like dragged her from Kit, who was like dying in the field. The last we saw was Kit is nowhere to be seen, because they go back the next day to look for him and he's just gone. There's blood on the ground and like this circle around his blood. So we're like, what the frick happened? Like, did he get evaporated or what? But turns out he was taken by Dacker. Dacker healed him and is making him like his personal correspondent, basically. And when Dacker heals people, he can take their memories away. So the plot of this book is Kid is with Dacker, doesn't remember anything about his past, so he doesn't remember Iris or anything. And Iris is just trying to get him back. And they end up doing the typewriter thing again, which I loved how she like incorporated the typewriter back into the story. I was worried if she tried to do it that it wasn't going to feel realistic or natural, and I think she did it in a way that feels very natural and not forced to like bring the typewriters back in. I'm fully enjoying it. Like, I can see it going up towards like a 4.5, maybe even more, depending on what she does with the rest of it. So those are the books that I read on my Kindle. And okay, I have a couple of other things I want to talk about since we're on the topic of books. First, I wanted to talk about this book, Goyhood. I finished reading it literally the day before, like the night before I was going to Rome, so I didn't get a chance to talk about it because I was traveling. But I was sent this book by the nicest guy ever, Reuben Fenton, like reached out and sent me this book, and that's never happened to me, and that was the coolest thing ever. So thank you, Reuben, for sending me this book and just asked if I wanted to read it. Of course I do. I went into this having like zero expectations because it's a Jewish like finding yourself story. So in my head, I was like, well, I'm not Jewish. I'm not really even that religious and know nothing about Judaism. So I don't know if I will connect to the story at all. I don't know if I'm going to enjoy it, but I'm going to read it and we'll find out together. Let me tell you, obsessed. And I'm not saying that because Reuben sent me this book. Because I was ready to like be like, yeah, it's a decent debut novel, that kind of thing. I was ready to just accept it for a Judaism finding yourself book. No, it's so much more than that. As I said, I'm not even religious, and I really, really enjoyed like learning about the Jewish religion through this. And like, that sounds weird coming out of my mouth because you would think I wouldn't. I actually really did. It was he didn't do it in a way where it feels like in like a textbook way. It's in like a very fun, informative way to see the way a Judaism life is led, if that makes sense. But basically, the plot of this book is we have two twin brothers, I guess one set of twin brothers, and randomly a rabbi comes to town and like knocks on their door to talk because I guess their name sounded Jewish. So the kids come home to the rabbi talking to their mom, and they're like, why is this weird looking guy talking to us? And the mom's like, oh, you didn't know we were Jewish? I guess I never told you, but yeah, we're Jewish. And so the one brother was like, okay, I literally don't care. And the other brother had like an epiphany and was like, oh my God, that makes so much sense why I feel this way. So he fully lives his whole life from like 16 and on as a very devout Jew. We jump ahead to, I think he's in his 30s and he's married. I'm not going to say the terms because I don't know them. I'm not confident in saying them, but he is kind of high up in this like Jewish community, and he marries the daughter of like the top dog of this place. But anyways, their mom dies much later. The brothers don't really speak anymore because the one brother went to go live a very traditional frat boy type of life, and then the other brother obviously is this devout Jew. So he gets a call from his brother, mom's died, and she wrote this letter to give to them, basically say, by the way, we're not Jewish. Sorry. So the one brother is having like this huge manic episode. He's devoted his entire life to being a Jew. So like his marriage is a sham. The amount of hours he has spent doing this, like we see it, we read about it, and like your heart almost hurts for him because he's freaking out that he's a fake Jew. And it's like a sin to study Judaism if you're not a Jew. So in his brain, he's just like spiraling. And he figures out he can convert to Judaism, but it's not until a week from now. So the brother, who he doesn't really get along with anymore, convinces him to go on this road trip with him. So the road trip is just this whole finding yourself journey of them doing stupid things, them arguing. They pick up a one-eyed dog, but then like they bond over some things. It's just this like really feel-good story, the journey of like finding yourself. It was just so beautiful, and like watching these brothers reconnect and like rekindle their brotherhood made me cry so many times. It was so beautiful. I loved it. And he also did a good job typically, and I will say this is like in a lot of YA books where authors will try and throw in pop culture references and it instantly like takes me out of the story and I hate it. but he did it and I didn't hate it. Like, he referenced Taylor, he referenced Epcot, and like all of these things in like a really seamless way where you're not like, ew, that was gross. It was perfect because our Jew brother like doesn't know all these pop culture things because he's not in the world like the other brother. So like the way he says it, the way it's integrated into the story is perfect. Obviously there's a dog involved, so like we loved that. And just everything about it, loved. The way it all came together. And it's not even long. It's a short little book, but it was absolutely phenomenal. So this book comes out, I believe, May 24th. I'll put the date. It says May 24th here. But I'll put the date of when it actually comes out for sure. If that's wrong on the screen. Even if you think, like, absolutely this has nothing to do with something that you would like. I read fairy smut, okay? And I really enjoyed this. I literally gave it a 4.5 out of 5. That's kind of crazy because I don't do that often. So even if it seems like not your cup of tea, I highly suggest to try it. You might love it because you learn a lot. So it's really cool, actually. For someone who knew absolutely nothing, I now know a couple things, and I think it's cool to say that. So check out Goyhood, and thank you, Reuben, again for sending this to me. Absolutely so good, and I think about it all the time. So, and then last manner of business, we have finally hit 5K. That's crazy to me. Like, absolutely crazy that 5,000 of you like to watch me ramble on about the random shit that I do. But for 5K, I wanted to do like a fun giveaway. All of this is going to be on my Instagram as soon as I can figure out the details. I've said it before, but y'all know I like to buy repeats of books. So books that I have multiple copies of, back here, there's a lot of them. So I've decided that I'm going to go in and annotate a bunch of the books that I have repeats of and then give them away to you. I'm going to go through, I don't know how many there's going to be, probably like 5 or 6 winners, and then I'll send you the book that I annotate. Me and Muggs, we're going to annotate these books together, and then I'll send them to you after I pick the winners. So the details will be on my Instagram. I'll put the link in the description below, and then maybe you can win a book annotated by me. But thank you so much for watching. Hopefully that gets done pretty soon, but I will obviously post and let you know when it's up and running. It should be up and running by the time this video is out because I've already hit 5,000, so that would be great. But we know I'm a little behind on things and a little lazy. So thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.